Everybody, it is 7 o'clock.
Can we have this on, please?
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order, the Village Planning Commission tonight. Glorma, if we could get a roll call, please.
Mike Kramer.
Here.
Maria Agustines.
Here.
Amanda Pullen. Here. Jennifer Hackman. Here. Troy Newman.
Here.
Jason Holzhausen.
Here. All right, we have an agenda this evening. Anyone have comments, alternatives they'd like to make to the agenda? We have a motion on the floor with support to approve our agenda this evening.
I'm sorry, can I, who supported the motion?
Mike,
Made the motion and
Mike made
Maria?
the motion.
Thank you.
Sorry. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have our agenda. So on the agenda tonight is the proposed marijuana ordinance for the Village of Middleville. The public hearing is for the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance that would allow recreational and medical marijuana facilities in the village. In 2008, village residents voted in favor of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. In 2018, the village residents voted in favor of the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act. In January of 2020, the village council directed us, the planning commission, to set the process to opt in for recreational marijuana facilities in the village. Through the work of the planning commission ordinance committee and in consultation with the village council, this directive evolved to include medical and recreational facilities. If adopted by the village council, these ordinances would set the application, licensing, and zoning policies for marijuana facilities in the village. Medical provisioning, recreational retail, and marijuana micro-businesses would be allowed in the C2 Central or Highway Commercial Zoning District. Growing facilities would be allowed in both the I1 and I2 industrial zoning districts. Marijuana processor, secure transporter, and safety compliance facilities would be allowed in the C2, I1, and I2 zoning districts. There would be no more than 5 licensed marijuana facilities in the village. Additionally, marijuana-related retail-oriented businesses, including recreational retailers and medical provisioning centers, would be limited to 2 licenses within the village, but they could co-locate with other license types. The ordinance would require the village council to review the maximum number and types of marijuana businesses allowed in the village at least every 2 years. All marijuana businesses must come before the planning commission to obtain a special land use permit, as well as obtaining an approved site plan before they go to village council. Before we open for comments, we're going to hear from Brian Urquhart, the village zoning administrator, and his comments.
Well, Jason, you covered pretty much everything. No, you did a good job. I guess I would like to pull up the map, the zoning map, if you would, Gloria, to kind of talk about where are we talking about, where are these facilities going to be. So as Jason said, at any given time, there will be a maximum of 5 licenses. And we're allowing all types of recreational and only medical provisioning centers. And that, I know it might be difficult to discern from there, but the C2 Highway Commercial District is all those parcels that are in that purple along M37. Yes, very good, Gloria. Yep, over there. And then the other areas where it'd be eligible would be a light and dark gray heavy and light industrial. So kind of up in the northeastern portion of the town, and then there's a few pockets over on State Street, and then also on West State Road. And there is nothing allowing any recreational, no licenses at all in any residential zoning district. And furthermore, no licenses allowed in our central business district. All right. The other key component that is per the ordinance, the zoning ordinance, is that there's a provision that there has to be, a license cannot be located on a parcel of land that's within 1,000 feet of any property that is a school, church, or daycare facility. And the way it's, one of the key components of that is it's measured from any point on the property line to any point from that, to that subject property. So, that really kind of gives a little bit of an indication of, as we look at what is properties that would be eligible, it takes that was one of the considerations, is to make sure that we keep that distance. That is also what the Michigan regulation and taxation of marijuana ordinance, state law also says is allowed to up to. As Jason said, for the planning commission's purpose, is that if there is, the ordinance is approved, the planning commission would be responsible for the site plan review and the special land use approval of each license. And that requires a public hearing, notification in the Sun and News, and then also all property owners within 300 feet. To kind of restate where we're at currently, this has been a long process, about 2 years since we were requested by Village Council to look into adopting an ordinance. And here we are with the public hearing, a requirement for the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Tonight is, like I said, like Jason said, a public hearing, taking comment in. We have a regular meeting held at 7 o'clock Tuesday, July 6th, where it's expected that we will vote on it. Then it would go before the Village Council, and that would be the zoning ordinance amendments, and then also there is a regulatory ordinance that they would be considering, and there are 2 exhibits. That is a license application and also a scoring rubric. And so if the timeline were to proceed, that's laid out in my staff report, Village Council would look at this sometime in August. So that's kind of the timeline that we have right there. Main thing that we're kind of discussing is key points are no more than 5 licenses, no more than 2 storefront locations that can be co-located, as Jason said, with retail and medical provisioning centers. So medical and recreational license. And then also a key component is that we would look at this every 2 years, Village Council that is, and see what, determine if that number needs to be decreased, remain the same, or possibly increased. And also a key point is that even though it is in the highway commercial district, no drive-through facilities at all, and the hours of operation that we have currently in the ordinance are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And those are some of the key points for the Planning Commission to consider for the zoning.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
So, I will need to suspend our meeting and officially open our public hearing. During public comment opportunity here, we've got a couple things to keep in mind. Be respectful. We'll need your name and your address. You're going to direct your comments to the commission here, not to the folks behind you in the audience. We're here to listen tonight, to absorb comments. We're not here to deliberate tonight. We are going to take these comments and any emailed comments that come in after this meeting at our next regular scheduled meeting next week, Tuesday, where any additional comments that come in over email will be entered into the public record. And I think that's about it. We can get started. So on my right, there's a microphone at the end of the aisle next to the stage. And we do have our 3 minutes for commenting per person. We'll ask you to keep to under that. So if anyone's got anything to say, we have an open mic here. Come on down.
Good evening, board, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Mike Weber. My address is 2525 Ocean Trail. I understand that you're here at the behest of your residents. more, we got more yes votes on the subject than no votes when they came up in 2018. That's what we're here. Personal opinion, that's what all this is, by the way. Just because everybody says it's a good idea, doesn't mean it's a good idea. That said, I'm compelled to be here tonight and share my extreme disappointment with the plans to pursue the invitation to marijuana. After countless hours and years of joint planning as the township supervisor with the Village of Middleville, planning to maintain the rural atmosphere of our community, to create our very own Mayberry, if you will, here tucked between the metropolises around us. I fail to see the marijuana industry's role in that endeavor. Families come to the Middleville area because of our school system and the close-knit small-town feel of the district. How will the marijuana businesses impact that? Thornapple Township residents resolutely stated they were not in favor of allowing recreational marijuana to bring its challenges to our home. I mean, there's one example I can bring to you, a lovely snack shack on Grand Rapids Street with Red White. When she had that store, it ran smoothly for year after year after year. As soon as she put in a drug paraphernalia section in her store, break-ins began, and there was a regular police presence at her store. I'm an extreme advocate for working together. In fact, 8 years ago, almost 9 now, I suggested that one of our entities, the Village of Middleville or Thornapple Township, dissolve, and we become one community with one government. That was another one of Mike's ideas. I don't know, like a blood balloon. But 14 elected officials in our community is a lot. Cooperation, collaboration is a great idea where there is benefit to all the entities involved. I truly hope that revenues you expect to generate from marijuana fees and taxes actually materialize, and that you are able to cover the costs of the increased police protection that you may need. However, I am not convinced that marijuana and increased police protection are in the best interest of our combined community. The fact that the state of Michigan included verbiage for increased local police protection in the recreational marijuana law itself should have been the very first red flag that came up and said, is this what you want to do to your community? Thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
Mike?
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Corey Curtis. I live at 5121 Levine Drive. I am a mother of 3. I've been a resident at Middleville for 13 years. And I'm really concerned about this ordinance. In addition to being a resident, I'm an individual whose life has been directly impacted by a loved one's drug abuse and addiction. A family member who used drugs like marijuana recreationally, which led to more dangerous drugs, and ultimately unintended death at a very young age. Drugs are never good for communities, and they're especially bad for our children. Marijuana is an addictive drug. It is affecting our youth, and almost 12 million young adults used marijuana in 2018. According to the CDC, 38% of high school students report having used marijuana in 2018. I'm assuming those numbers are higher now. Marijuana use can have permanent effects on the developing brain when use begins in adolescence, and frequent use is linked to school dropout. This ordinance would make this addictive drug, proven by science to be detrimental to young adults within walking distance of our schools. The 1,000 feet restriction is less than 0.2 of a mile, making it easier to get into the hands of our youth. This proposed ordinance will allow 5 marijuana-based businesses in our village, 2 of which would be retail shops. What other business would be as prominent as this in the Village of Middleville, with 5 different locations? We rarely have more than 5 restaurants in the village. Do we want to be known as a community that promotes drugs, a drug that is federally illegal? The Village of Middleville recently spent several thousands of dollars to rebrand itself as a great community choice of family, a charming location in the middle that features wonderful schools, small businesses, and outdoor amenities, to To adopt the marijuana ordinance would be in direct contrast to our village brand, making our promises of a family-friendly community untrue. I've always promoted Middleville to friends and coworkers as a great place to live, friends who initially didn't even know where Middleville was, and questioned why we live so far away from Grand Rapids. I've defended the small town charm, good schools, clean and neighborhoods. Do we really want to attract these businesses and become known as another pot shop community? Do our friends and colleagues from other parts of the state want to associate Middleville with marijuana? And now the Paul Henry Trail, downtown district, or TV schools? No, we don't want this for our village, or for our kids, or for our future. Yes, this would bring revenue to our community, but I ask you, at what cost? The cost of our graduation rates? The cost of our youth's well-being? The cost of our reputation? Or the cost of the life of a family member like mine? This ordinance promotes marijuana in our community, and while marijuana may be legal, it is not right for our community. Please do not pass this ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Planning Commission, how are you? Frank French, Robert Road, Millville. I'm here to speak for this decision. I've been for it since I started helping work on it 3 years ago, 2 years. I want to address the issue of children and marijuana. You have to be 21 to get into a dispensary. So I don't see anyone going into that dispensary, buying something, standing on the corner to sell it to the teenagers going to school. I don't see that happening. I don't drink alcohol. My husband doesn't drink alcohol. My friends have been killed by drunk drivers. I'd rather see somebody smoke a joint, than go to the bar, get drunk, go out and kill somebody. I urge you to pass. Thanks. It's not a law.
Anyone else?
Good evening, everybody. Justin Norman, 385 One Road, 3 wards. A little out of my way, but got property here, so I figured I better show up and talk. The main reason I'm here tonight is I'm not really for or against the marijuana issue itself, but I'm highly opposed to a lot of the stuff that's wrapped up in this ordinance. So you guys' job as a planning commission is to set constraints on zoning where businesses can go, and I think you've done that with the ordinance. Where I feel it goes off the deep end is by limiting the number of businesses, the number of opportunities. I know this is one that's a very contentious issue, but I hate to see that would go further forward in the future, where you're limiting the number of beauty salons, or grocery stores, or gas stations, for that instance. It wasn't near me for a while, a year ago, but I feel like that continues to be an overreach of your ability as a commission, and I don't want to see that trend down. The other issue I really have is with the application process. By limiting the number of people and by putting them through an application, it's going to limit that competition, and I think that competition is a good thing to have. You're going to get a corporate business that's been out and has applied. The contacts that I've gotten from the marijuana businesses that want to come in here, they all filed their previous records. We won 8 of our 10 applications in the state of Michigan, so we should win here. Sign up with us, type of situation. It's going to eliminate the opportunity for somebody local to fulfill their dream, possibly of owning a shop. The other part I don't like about it is the additional regulation of the application, the continual renewal of the process. The state has regulations and laws and ordinances they have to follow. So why would you not, therefore, carry that forward to other businesses and entities of that type? Say liquor sales, tobacco sales. Should they not have to follow a similar process, similar application, similar renewal process? And if it's the same there, should it be auto mechanics, hair salons? I mean, there's a number of businesses out there at the state level that are regulated already. HVAC, plumbing, all of those businesses have state licenses that they have to follow and are implemented. I don't feel that that application process should transfer through the line to every business, and therefore, to be fair, it either should exist for everyone or for none. And I think that's where this issue becomes hard for me, is it's an overreach on the little things that go with it. I think you guys have done a good job as far as the overall zoning and planning issue goes, but all the extra stuff really hurts, I think, businesses. The other part I don't like is the tax, essentially, that you're gonna add to these businesses. I know it's a $5,000 a year application fee. How much time are you gonna really spend reviewing that application? I mean, you're talking 50 to 100 man hours of costs that's gonna be absorbed by you guys, or is it just a tax or money grab to kind of benefit the overall picture? Sorry, I'm somewhat neutral on it, but just the parts I don't like.
Anyone else this evening? If you have comments that you don't want to speak tonight, you can send an email to the village clerk. And those would be entered into the record at our next regular meeting. Laura, what's the deadline for email comments?
For the next planning commission meeting?
Is it at 7, so it's what, 4:30 in the afternoon?
I'm sorry,
If somebody
For
wants
email
to email,
for email comments to the planning commission.
yes,
It is on Thursday, this Thursday,
okay,
at 3.
Thursday at 3. But we still have our open mic here for any additional public comments here. Don't see anybody standing up. Mike, I'll indulge you for another 2 minutes.
I know you need to. Thanks for being here. I do want to state that I am not opposed to medicinal marijuana. I know it helps a lot of people in a lot of different kinds of situations. But there's such a huge difference between the medicinal needs and the recreational needs. And whether you're high on something or drunk on something, killing people driving your car, still killing people driving your car. And why promote more than we already have?
Right? One last chance for anyone to stand up. All right, that concludes our public hearing this evening. Thank you everyone for the comments. We will reopen our special meeting. All right, so we have one more public comment section for any matter that you'd like to bring before the Planning Commission that was not on the agenda tonight. Seeing none, we will move on to commissioner comments this evening. We'll start at that end of the table. Jennifer.
Thank you for everybody for coming up tonight.
Troy?
Nothing from me, no.
Amanda?
Nothing.
Mike?
I just echo thanks for your participation, appreciate your input, and we'll take this in consideration.
Maria?
Again, thank you for coming, and we will consider your comments.
And myself, yes. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your comments. Our next regular meeting is next week, Tuesday the 6th at 7 o'clock at Village Hall in Council Chambers, where these comments and any additional that come in over email will be considered before this Planning Commission makes any recommendations to the Village Council. With that, I believe that concludes our meeting this evening. I will entertain an adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Got that, Glimmer?
Who supported it?
Amanda?
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn with support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.